Good day, students! I am Ma'am Robbie Mostoles, and today we will talk about unsaturated and saturated solutions. Today's objective is to investigate properties of unsaturated and saturated solutions. Do you still remember what a solution is? Solution is a homogeneous type of mixture of two or more substances. This means that it has a uniform composition throughout. Identify the following mixtures as solution or not solution. Rubbing alcohol, solution or not solution? Very good. Rubbing alcohol is an example of solution. Next is oil in water. Oil in water is not a solution. How about sand in water? Solution or not solution? Sand in water is also not a solution. Next is vinegar and water. Solution or not solution? Very good. Vinegar and water is also an example of solution. Last one is salt water. A salt water is also a solution. Good job, students! Now let us proceed to our topic for today. Have you tried swimming in the beach and accidentally drunk some water?
It's salty!
Why is the seawater salty? It is because the salt dissolved in water. As we all know, a solution has two components, the solute and the solvent. A substance dissolved in a solution is the solute, while the substance that dissolves the solute is called the solvent. In short, solvent dissolves solute. The solute is usually present in a smaller amount than the solvent. For example, a salt water is a solution which is composed of water added with salt. The water dissolves the salt. Therefore, water is the solvent while salt is the solute. Now, it's your turn. An orange juice is made up of water and powder juice. Which of the two is the solvent? Very good! Water is the solvent, therefore, powder juice is the solute. How about coffee? Coffee is composed of water, sugar, and coffee powder. Now, which is the solvent and which is the solute? Good job! Water is the solvent. But in this case, we have two solutes, the sugar and the coffee powder.
So that is the reason why seawater tastes salty.
Yes, it is. But another question is, can water dissolve any amount of salt, or is there a limit to it? Let us find out the answers to this question in this topic about types of solutions. Solutions can be classified into two types on the basis of an amount of solute present in the solution. First one is the unsaturated solution, and the other one is saturated solution. An unsaturated solution is a solution that contains less solute than the maximum amount the solvent can dissolve at a given temperature. If the solution can still dissolve more solute in a solvent, then it is said to be unsaturated solution. Its color is lighter than saturated solution. A saturated solution is a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent. A solution is said to be saturated when we can't add any more solute to the solvent. To prove this concept, let's have a short activity. In this activity, we will be needing the following materials: 2 glasses or any transparent containers, spoon, water, and sugar. Are you ready, students? Let us now perform the activity. The first thing you need to do is to fill the 2 glasses with water. Make sure that you will use glasses or containers with the same size. Another important thing is to assure that the level of the water in both containers is equal. You can use a ruler to measure and check the height and level of the water in each container. On the first glass of water, place 1 scoop of sugar and stir until all sugar crystals are dissolved and you cannot see any crystals at the bottom of the glass. You have now produced an unsaturated sugar solution. On the other glass of water, do the same thing. Place 1 scoop of sugar and stir until all sugar crystals are dissolved and you cannot see any crystals at the bottom of the glass. Keep adding spoonful of sugar and keep on stirring after each spoonful until the sugar no longer dissolves. This is now our 3rd spoon of sugar, and at this point, the water can still dissolve all the sugar crystals. At this point, we can now see sugar crystals remaining at the bottom of the glass no matter how much we stir. You have now produced a saturated sugar solution. This is now what we called saturation point. A saturation point is the point beyond which the substance will no longer dissolve in the solution. And there you have it. This one is an example of unsaturated solution, while this one is an example of saturated solution. The color of unsaturated solution is lighter than the saturated solution. So you have observed that there is a maximum amount of solute like sugar that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent like water at a certain temperature. The process took place between sugar and the water is called the solubility of the solute.
Now, I already know the difference between unsaturated and saturated solution. Thanks to you, ma'am. But I have a question. Do all substances have the same saturation point when dissolved in water?
Let us find out the answer through another activity.
Yay! I love activities!
Okay then, let's go! To perform this activity, we will be needing the following materials: 2 glasses or any transparent containers, spoons, water, sugar, and salt. At this point, let us make a saturated solution between salt and sugar for us to determine and compare their saturation points. The first thing we need to do is to pour an equal amount of water in both containers. You can use a ruler to measure and check the height and level of the water in each container. We will start the activity through adding a spoon of each substance into the glass of water and stir them until all salt and sugar crystals are dissolved and you cannot see any crystals on the bottom of both glasses. Keep adding spoonful of salt and sugar and keep on stirring after each spoonful until the salt and sugar no longer dissolve. Remember to count the number of spoons of sugar and salt needed to make a saturated solution. On the 3rd spoon of sugar, we can now notice some sugar crystals settling at the bottom of the glass. Since water can still dissolve the salt crystals, we will still keep on adding spoonful of salt into the glass. Continue adding salt until you find that some salt remains undissolved. On the 5th spoon of salt, we notice that the water can no longer dissolve the salt. This is now the saturated solution of salt in water. Compare the amount of salt and sugar needed to make a saturated solution. How many spoonfuls of salt and sugar did we use to produce our saturated solution? Very good! Based on our activity, we only need 3 spoons of sugar to make a saturated solution, while saturated salt solution requires 5 spoons of salt. This shows that salt and sugar dissolved in water to different extents and have different saturation points. So going back to the question, Do all substances have the same saturation point when dissolved in water? And the answer is no. Different substances may have different saturation points when dissolved in water. Now, let us summarize what you have learned through completing the following statements. I will give you 10 seconds to think and answer. A maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent at a certain temperature is called the blank of the solute. Excellent! The answer is solubility. Next is the solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent is called a blank. Very good! The answer is saturated solution. The presence of an excess solid which can no longer dissolve is evidence that the solution is Good job! The presence of an excess solid which can no longer dissolve is evidence that the solution is saturated. And last one, a solution is blank when it contains less solute than the maximum amount it can dissolve at a given temperature. Perfect! The answer is unsaturated.
Points to remember.
Solution has two components, the solute and the solvent. Solute is a substance dissolved in a solution, while solvent is a substance that dissolves the solute. Solubility is a maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent at a certain temperature. Solution has also two types depending on the amount of solute present in the solution: the unsaturated solution and the saturated solution. Unsaturated solution is a solution that contains less solute than the maximum amount it can dissolve at a given temperature, while saturated solution is a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent. Always remember that different substances may have different saturation points when dissolved in water. So that is all about unsaturated and saturated solutions. But did you know that saturated solutions are not just for science? Saturated solutions and solubility play an important role in our lives, especially in the kitchen. In this experiment video, we will be examining how temperature relates to solubility. The materials used in this experiment video are the following: sugar cube or just sugar, cold water, and hot water. Will hot water make sugar cube dissolves easier and faster than cold water? Let us now find the answer through this experiment video. For the first step, put a sugar cube in a cold water and another sugar cube in hot water. Observe what will happen to the sugar cube in both cup of water with different temperature. As you can see, the sugar cube dissolves faster in hot water than in cold water. The cold water is not able to dissolve as much sugar as the hot water. But why? It is because hot water has faster moving molecules which are spread further apart than the molecules in the cold water. So from this video, is there a way by which we can dissolve the excess solid that settled at the bottom of the container? And the answer is yes. Heating a saturated solution makes it unsaturated. More amount of substance can be dissolved in a saturated solution by heating. It's time for your quiz. Choose the word, phrase, or sentence that best answers each question or completes each statement. You may use paper and ballpen for answering. I will give you 10 seconds to answer each item. Question number 1. What type of mixture is a solution? A. Heterogeneous. B. Homogeneous. C. Immiscible. Or letter D. Unsaturated. Next question. What do you call a substance dissolved in any solution? A. Solute. B. Solvent. C. Solute and solvent. And letter D. Neither solute nor solvent. Third question. In this picture, a powder is about to be poured into the liquid. Which of the following should be done to make this powder dissolve faster? A. Stir the powder in the liquid. B. Freeze the mixture. Letter C. Add more powder to the liquid. Or letter D. Let the powder settle down. You were given a 40 ml solution in a beaker. You added solute to the beaker and you observed some particles did not dissolve. What solution is it? A. Saturated. B. Unsaturated. C. Concentrated. Or letter D. Supersaturated. Next question. In a saltwater solution, what substance is considered the solvent? A. Salt. B. Water. C. Both are solvents. Or letter D. Neither substance is a solvent. Question number 6. What will allow more solute to be dissolved in a solvent? A. Adding more solute. B. Evaporation. Letter C, cooling solution. Or letter D, heating solution. Number 7. Blank is the maximum amount of a solute that can be dissolved in a given amount of solvent at a given temperature. A. Supersaturation. B. Concentration. C. Solubility. Or letter D. Polarity. Question number 8. What do you call a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent? A. Solubility. B. Dilute solution. C. Saturated solution. Or letter D. Unsaturated solution. Next question. Which of the following refers to the solution that contains less solute that can dissolve at a given temperature? A. Solubility. B. Dilute solution. C. Saturated solution. Or letter D. Unsaturated solution. Last question. To make a solute dissolve more quickly in a solvent, which of the following would you do? A. Put it in cold water and stir it. B. Put it in the refrigerator for an hour. C. Put it in warm water and stir it. Or letter D, do not stir the solution. Let us now check your answers. In question number 1, what type of mixture is a solution? And the answer is B, homogeneous. Next question, what do you call a substance dissolved in any solution? The correct answer is A, solute. In this picture, a powder is about to be poured into the liquid. Which of the following should be done to make this powder dissolve faster? And the answer is letter A, stir the powder in the liquid. You were given a 40 ml solution in a beaker. You added solute to the beaker and you observed some particles did not dissolve. What solution is it? The correct answer is A, saturated. Question number 5. In a saltwater solution, what substance is considered the solvent? The answer is letter B, water. Question number 6. What will allow more solute to be dissolved in a solvent? The answer is D, heating solution. 7th question. Blank is the maximum amount of a solute that can be dissolved in a given amount of solvent at a given temperature. And that is letter C, solubility. Number 8. What do you call a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent? And the answer is letter C, saturated solution. Number 9. Which of the following refers to the solution that contains less solute that can dissolve at a given temperature? Correct answer is letter D, unsaturated solution. And for the last question, to make a solute dissolve more quickly in a solvent, which of the following would you do? And the correct answer is letter C. Put it in warm water and stir it. There you have it. Good job, students! Now, you already know the difference between unsaturated and saturated solution. Always remember that one of the most important solutions in the world is the air we breathe. So let us protect the environment and practice proper waste disposal to avoid air pollution. Again, I am Ma'am Robbie Mostoles. Good day and happy learning!